For today's Chapter 6 discussion, I decided to take a video instead of writing about it. For this discussion, I have wanted to reflect on the positive ways of, or beneficial ways of, giving personal information to others, as far as social control, validation, clarification, maintenance, or you want somebody to basically reciprocate how you feel. Disclosing this kind of information as far as personal goes, it can fall underneath the medium or high risk disclosures. As far as being super personal, low can be personal as well, as far as what you believe in, just to start conversation. But not a lot of people, everybody uses the low risk from day to day. Like, just having a conversation with somebody, you're basically using low risk. Moderate risk is more like you're talking to coworkers or people that you talk to more than once. You start to build that trust with that one person, because let's face it, if you don't have trust with somebody, you're not going to talk to them a lot, So I find it very, very, I feel like moderate risk is very common. High risk is not very common, because a lot of people only disclose that kind of information with people that they feel they can put their all into, that they can really trust, as far as somebody that you're intimate with, or your family members, even though sometimes that can be hard to disclose very personal information with your family members, especially if you don't have that kind of relationship. I have that kind of relationship with my foster family, so I disclose a lot of information with them. I take a lot of time to let them know everything that I'm doing. I kind of am very open with my foster parents, just because I've hurt them once, and let their trust, just fly out the window, and I don't really want to do that again, because this is my family, and I don't want to lose that kind of trust again. So I try to build that as much as possible with disclosing all the kind of personal information I have. I would say high risk, but I don't think that they'd use that against me. There are, let's see, what kind of risk? There are a lot of ways that we kind of avoid taking risk. We don't want to lie, because sometimes everybody does it. Everybody lies. If you say you don't, you're a liar. Just saying. You kind of, let's just say that when you're taking this kind of risk, sometimes you do a cover-up on your stories in a way, because you could tell by someone's facial reaction how they're interpreting your communication. And with this, you just kind of go based off body language and what people are saying. If you feel as if somebody's not reciprocating or really taking in and agreeing with you, kind of back up or cover it up, or you backtrack and you make it seem like a better story than it actually is. I would say that most of my communications that I have with people since with this whole quarantine, the main people I talked to outside of home, and texting by my friends or calling them, is the coffee shop. I talk to a lot of people at the coffee shop because I'm addicted. I would say that this could fall underneath the medium/low risk conversations, because I've talked to them a lot. They know my order by heart, which is a little sad, but I'm addicted, so let's just leave it at that. So with the coffee people, we talk about a lot of stuff as regards to political stance, or we talk about things as far as, let's see, we would talk about, what's the last conversation that we had? Mm, honestly, it's flying over my head. I can't remember right now. Let's just go with my family. So I'm talking to somebody, and um, they kind of said something that left me wanting to back up. I have a problem that if I feel like someone's pushing me away, I push back even harder because I'd rather be mad than sad. That to me is a high risk when I tell somebody that, because I feel like they could use that against me, and it could come up in an argument and say that I'm pushing back because they feel as if I feel like they're pushing me away, and I'm just trying to get out of it. And that's true, I do that. I try to get out of it because I don't like confrontation, although I like to be, all on the same page. I like to talk about things very openly with people. um so with my family, I talk a lot about the relationships that I have with people when I'm talking to somebody, or when I'm not talking to somebody, what happened, what the fallout was. um I think this is a very high risk, because my family could, use it against me and say, well, you're acting this way with this person because of this. And yeah, that sucks a little bit, but I don't necessarily think that they'll use it against me, as far as they would just want to help me better understand my own feelings, because I have a hard time understanding them myself. Um Also, another high risk, I would say, um talking to my family again. Anytime me and my friends get in a fight, I kind of tell them about it. I try to justify my own feelings instead of thinking about the other person's. It's really hard for me to stand in somebody else's shoes and try to understand what they're saying if I'm not fully grasping the situation. It is hard for me to want to see somebody else's side. I kind of deflect, and I make people step away sometimes because I don't like to talk about all that stuff. Like I said previously, I don't like confrontation all that much. Um let's see. And another thing would be, I try to tell my family a lot of times about my past with my parents. They don't fully understand all of it. My foster mom has a better understanding than my dad, because he grew up in a home where he was loved and cherished and had everything that he needed. And my mom grew up in a home where she didn't feel wanted. So when I talk openly about my past with my family, I feel like that's a very touchy, high risk subject, because I feel like a lot of my issues or problems today are based off of my past, and that really hurts me because I don't want to be like my mom, my biological mother, I mean, and I don't want to be like my biological father. Um, I just kind of let people in on that part of my life because it is a lot of who I am today, and I don't want to be like that, but I try everything in my power to not be like that. I feel like disclosing this kind of information helps people see the best of me, like what I have been through and where I stand today. It is hard for me to talk about this because it is a very, 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 very touchy subject. My parents were not the best to me. They still are not. They are not in my life. My foster parents, now I call them mom and dad, and they have stuck by my side even though I did hurt them. They have done so much for me, and I'm extremely thankful for that. So I would say that watching my family push me to do better helps me want to do better for myself. For our second part of our homework, we were asked to talk about our risk as far as our medium risk self disclosure. Uh, So I wrote down 3 topics due to the shelter in place with the whole COVID thing going on. I have not really been talking to a lot of people. I shelter myself a lot from people. Like I said, I only talk to the people in the coffee shop. So I came up with 3 conversations that I had that I felt in the moderate risk of self-disclosure. The situations are saying the love word to somebody, my aunt's death, and all about my stepmom. So I was talking to this person, and this happened last weekend. I went actually on a camping trip to get away. I went with someone that I was talking to who I see a little bit often. With all the shelter in place, we both go to school. So we both go to the same school, the CNA program that I'm in. We were talking about our feelings towards each other, and we're talking. So they told me that they loved me. And this was while we were sitting inside of the tent, just chatting about how we feel about each other. And we haven't been talking all that long. We actually just made it official. And it was hard for me because I feel the love word is actually a big thing to say. It is huge. A lot of people throw it around. I find that there's a huge difference between being in love and loving somebody. So with this person, after they said they loved me, I could tell that my nonverbal communication was off-putting. It was unsettling because my facial expressions say a lot more than my words do, I feel like. I could not be saying anything, but my face will say all the words for me. When they told me that they loved me, I kind of was in shock because it was very sudden and far too soon for me to say it back. I didn't really know what to say. I did tell them that I loved them back. I felt like I was lying. I felt very, not secure. I didn't feel okay enough to say something like that. My emotions were all over the place. I wanted to say it back to make them feel like I felt the same way because I really care about this person and I care about their feelings, and the last thing that I want to do is hurt this person. So I didn't say exactly how I felt. Coming back to that conversation, I told them that I didn't mean what I said. And I felt really bad for saying that I didn't mean it. Because it's heartbreaking to have something in your hands and then, taken away so fast. It's this new thing and you're so excited about it and you're happy that someone feels the same exact way that you do. But to find out that they don't, it's probably very sad. And I could only imagine how they were feeling. But I felt like I needed to be honest with this person if I wanted something real. So after I told them, I felt relieved, a little upset because I know I hurt their feelings. I felt like I needed to get it off my chest and be open and honest. The other person involved, I felt like they really didn't know how to feel or how to take it. It was just very hard for them to want to be a part of that, I guess you would say. I think that this experience for me was a little eye-opening and challenging. It was very challenging because it took me to be open, and I'm not very good at that. I kind of push my emotions away when I try to be open with other people because I want I'd rather have somebody else be happy than me be then me be happy. And I kind of pushed my feelings aside. Before this exercise, I would say that I wasn't really aware of my, what's the word? I wasn't aware of how somebody else took what I said. I didn't really take their feelings into consideration until it came down to telling the truth. I shared these topics with my family very openly because my mom has been through a few things that would put her underneath the same category as me. She said the same things to similar people and took it back. So I got her input, and it was very hard for me to open that up because it's something that I hid from her. I wouldn't say hid, I just didn't really talk about it because I wasn't sure how I was going to take it. I wasn't sure how I was going to say, I don't love you. My mom kind of gulped. I could tell by her facial expressions. She saw a lot of me, or a lot of her in me. Me and my foster mom were very, very, very much alike. And I think that she was very understanding, and I felt like she could help me understand my feelings and give more validation to myself. She opened my eyes by telling me that she said the same thing to somebody else, or the person that said I love you to her, she kind of just replied with a thank you. This is a true story. Because she didn't feel like she loved that person, which is a little hard for somebody else to hear. I understand that. But she really opened my eyes and helped me understand that it's okay to take back what you said as long as you're being honest and open with that one person. So I felt like talking to her helped me a ton because it made me feel less alone. It made me feel less guilty and vindictive, I guess you would say, in a way. I said something that was untrue and I took it back. It's mixing other people's emotions. It's like putting it in a bottle, shaking it up, and handing it back. And they gave you a bottle or two different bottles with two different things, and you kind of poured it all into one, shook it up, and gave it back to them. And they didn't really know what to do with that. I don't really know where I was going with that whole thing, but I think that it is very hard for somebody else to be open with that kind of subject and talk about it. So I give my mother props for talking to me and telling me that it was okay to feel that way and to be open, and help me through it and make me feel less alone.